I've never experienced anything like this. It's insanity. It's madness. It really is.
Well, tens of thousands of travelers across the country, including our own Mike Benner, they're either still trying to get home or make it to their holiday destination in the first place, while troubles at some airlines appear to keep stacking up. Thanks for joining us on this holiday Monday. I'm David Mulco. Nationwide, FlightAware is now reporting more than 3,000 flights were canceled this day after Christmas. Nearly 6,000 flights were delayed. Let's bring in Evan Watson. Evan, you've also spent hour after hour at the airport over the past week, not trying to fly, but checking in with passengers. Today, you're hearing from travelers trying to come home, and the news we saw it there, it is not great.
Yeah, David, this winter storm shut down airports and canceled thousands of flights across the country. Paired with an already busy holiday travel period and reduced airline staffing, it's created a situation where some people are going on 4 or 5 days waiting on any available flight.
Chaotic customer service lines at PDX are the product of 2 days of major flight cancellations due to icy conditions. On Friday alone, more than 270 flights in and out of Portland were called off. More flights were canceled on Saturday, and rebooking options are scarce.
I think for the most part, people understand when there's a weather-related event like this, there's like a day delay. When it's the holidays, there's often a day delay. And when there's entire airport shut down, there's a day delay. So you compound all of those factors and you get a 4-day delay. So it just is what it is.
Lauren Zavrell and her family were supposed to fly home from Florida on Christmas morning. Now they'll have to stay near Miami until Thursday for their rescheduled flight. They say it's still their best option to get home after looking at just about everything.
Drive the rest of the way. We were looking at renting a camper van. We were looking at trains, like every single option. There was nothing into LAX, nothing into Denver, nothing into Portland, San Francisco, Sacramento, BC, Seattle, Portland, Eugene, like nothing. So we have to wait 4 days.
The flight issues even affecting one of our own, KGW reporter Mike Benner.
I've never experienced anything like this. It's insanity. It's madness. It really is.
Benner is going on his 5th flight cancellation since Thursday, when he was set to fly home from his pre-Christmas visit to St. Louis with his family. He took these photos today. Currently, he and his wife and kids are split up at different airports, but their Southwest flights have been canceled because there are no flight crews available.
The looks on the faces of the people working here at the airport, you can't help but feel for them. It's not their fault, clearly. But as a dad, just trying to get home with one of my 3 kids, it's taking everything I have to keep my cool.
Southwest Airlines canceled roughly 2/3 of its flights Monday, more than 2,700 in total across the country, the latest airline to experience major problems. The airline said wait times for customer service are currently averaging 2 hours and have been as high as 4 hours. The cancellations are forcing people to miss work, or if you're a boy like Rigel Omuler, miss something far more important.
This one obviously wanted to get home and open presents and see his family, the rest of his family. And so what do we do about that? Did Santa visit you in the hotel? Tell him about it. You don't want to?
Santa did visit that hotel in Florida, which is a nice update and I think pretty impressive with all things considered for Santa's busy schedule this time of the year. Right now at PDX, as of today, there are about 50 flight cancellations, a little more than 50 delays of all its flights today, and that's what we're looking at, and might be even more tomorrow. David?
Just glad Santa does not have to fly commercial. Thanks,
right.
Evan. Our travelers not faring any better to our north. Airlines canceled dozens of flights at SeaTac. The majority of those delays and cancellations on Alaska Airlines, which handles just over half the airport's total passenger numbers. Alaska resumed what it considers normal operations yesterday, but the airline says it is still having trouble staffing flights because of a ripple effect from over the weekend. And post-Christmas travel chaos stretches right across the country, as you saw. NBC's Shaquille Brewster gives us a look at what's happening at airports nationwide.
Christmas may be over, but the travel chaos is still here.
Christmas nightmare.
Passengers stuck in limbo as that brutal winter storm puts travel plans on ice.
We have just been stuck for, a good 18 hours now?
On Christmas Day alone, thousands of flights were canceled. That's on top of the nearly 3,500 scrapped Christmas Eve. All sending frustration sky high across the country.
I don't know what to do. The only flights are way too expensive and we're stuck. and people keep trying to help us.
From Alaska Airlines canceling all mainline flights out of Portland on Saturday to a complete shutdown at Buffalo International, now extended to tomorrow. The airports with the most delays on Christmas Day, Denver and Chicago O'Hare, both pushing back departure times on more than 500 flights combined. And in Atlanta alone, an Arctic blast causing nearly 300 cancellations into and out of Hartfield-Jackson International. The travel headaches all leaving delayed passengers without much holiday cheer.
I'm very sad because by the time I reach home, it's going to be nighttime and Christmas dinner is going to be over.
Some forced to abandon their travel plans altogether.
I'm grateful we're fine and everything, but I don't get to go see my grandparents.
But for those who did make it to their holiday destinations, the focus is now on the return home, as Americans embark on one of the busiest travel weeks of the year, even for drivers. AAA expects heavy traffic on December 27th and 28th and on January 2nd, as millions who hit the roads and skies for Christmas look to get back home before the new year.
All right, by the way, there's a story out of Buffalo between a Buffalo couple and some South Korean tourists. Really heartwarming. Check it out if you haven't. But let's talk about the roads. One of the outstanding trouble spots right now in the Columbia River Gorge under an ice storm warning through early tomorrow morning. Officials warning traveler it could be difficult again. We are keeping an eye on it. So far, I-84 looks like it is still open. But you see parts of the historic Columbia River Highway are closed because of downed trees again and slick conditions. We've also got a few trouble spots on local roads this evening because while the ice and snow have moved on, the rain, already leaving a mess. This is a look. This is Highway 30 between Linton and the Sauvie Island Bridge near Northwest Harborton Drive. Rain's been coming down the slopes of the hills there. It's now completely covered both eastbound lanes of the highway. So right now, according to ODOT, it's still open in both directions, but be cautious and slow down if you are headed that way. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us now. Joe, a belated Merry Christmas to you. I mean, we're so ready for that ice to clear out, and now got a whole lot of what comes next, right?
Yeah, well, same to you, David. Yeah, we've been talking about the travel issues through the air the last couple of minutes. Well, it's going to be difficult to travel on the roads here the next 12 to 18 hours or so, not because of ice or snow, but because of wind and a lot of rain. Let's go out to the Oregon coast right now. You can see just how bad it's at right now. Gusts are going to be picking up anywhere from 60 to 70 miles an hour later on tonight. Lots of watches and warnings to get to. First, I want to talk about the rain. It's been in a solid sheet of green on the radar the last couple of hours, and that's what we're going to continue to see heading into this evening and to much of tomorrow as well. We've already seen close to an inch of rain through parts of the metro area, and those numbers are going to continue to climb heading into tomorrow as well. You can see up and down the I-5 corridor, we're seeing some rain. And now let's look at the wind. So by 8:39, that front will start to arrive on shore, bringing in some high winds along the coast. I'll step out of the way. You can put this in motion. Gusts could easily top out around 60, maybe 70 miles an hour late tonight and into tomorrow. And it's going to be a steady stream of rain and wind heading into tomorrow. High wind warning will be in effect throughout the Oregon coast. Wind advisory here locally throughout the metro area starting really after midnight until tomorrow night. I'll talk more about that in detail in just a few minutes.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on that with trees and likely some power lines weakened from the last storm here. Meanwhile, some Portlanders are still dealing with the aftermath of last week's ice storm. The owners of a restaurant in Southeast spent Christmas Eve dealing with this. That's a pipe that froze and then burst as it warmed back up. As Daisy Caballero reports, they were far from the only ones.
This is what workers at Mirasetta, a Sri Lankan restaurant on Southeast Belmont, woke up to on Christmas Eve. Water spraying out of faucets, it rushed onto the kitchen floor and overflowed sinks. The pipes burst because of the freezing temperatures. But they weren't the only ones dealing with this issue.
We also responded to about 1,000, at least 1,000 calls for assistance in doing emergency water shutoffs.
Felicia Heaton is with the Portland Water Bureau. She says all those calls were from homes, apartments, and businesses. The Bureau saw nearly 20 water main breaks between Thursday and Friday.
One of those was pretty significant in size. That was at Southwest First and Arthur, kind of in the downtown area. And this one was a 16-inch main. That's a really big pipe. And it broke, and then the water was gushing enough that it lifted the pavement up.
Because if this ruptured pipe happened to you, it's probably happened somewhere else, and somewhere else, and somewhere else.
Portland Fire and Rescue also responded to over 300 water emergency calls since Thursday, and that's on top of their regular emergency calls.
25% of the calls at that time that the Portland Fire and Rescue ran on were water emergencies. That is significantly larger than what we're used to seeing.
But Rick has some tips on how you can help them help you. And that's by finding your home's water main shut off and having a few tools so you can turn off your water your own.
Things that you can have: a bucket to capture your own water, varying degrees, sizes of shutoff keys, mechanisms, methods on how to locate the valve box.
Another trick to stop your pipe from freezing is by leaving a pencil-width stream on all your sinks to keep that water flowing.
You know, main breaks and frozen pipes aren't picky, so they just happen all over the place. So we've responded to folks all over the city.
You can find more tips and tricks to prevent your pipes from freezing on KGW.com. Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
All right, tonight we've got some new numbers when it comes to gun violence in the Rose City. And despite a record number of homicides in Portland this year, for the second year in a row, we should note, this year, newly released data suggests police are solving a higher percentage of murder cases. Investigative reporter Kylie Boshi, Newsroom, with a closer look at those numbers. Kyle.
David, police admit there's no clear explanation for the improved numbers, although the Bureau has added additional detectives to the homicide unit. So far this year, Portland's had a record number of homicides, and newly released data suggests police are solving a higher percentage of those cases. As of December 16th, Portland's homicide solve rate was 53%, which is up from 48% last year. Seneca Wall Alexander Sr. understands the heartbreak of losing a loved one, then having to wait for answers. His 17-year-old son was shot and killed in August of 2021. It wasn't until late October of 2022, more than a year later, the police made an arrest in the case. Alexander says it's critical for witnesses to come forward and share information with police.
And as long as we're quiet, we're not helping anybody. This isn't supposed to be going on. You should not be burying your children. Kids should not be dying.
Nationwide, the murder clearance rate has fallen to an all-time low. Roughly half of all murders in the U.S. go unsolved, according to FBI data. And statistics show most of those murders are committed with guns, which make them tougher to solve. There are fewer witnesses, less physical evidence, and the suspect and victim often don't know one another.
Well, Kyle, appreciate your continued reporting on this. Thank you. And still to come on